Good evening and welcome back to George Washington News. We hope everyone has had a fantastic start to the spring semester.
A lot has been happening this month. We'll be looking at the criminal investigation of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, as well as ongoing protests against ICE.
We will also cover the World Economic Forum Summit in Davos and GW's annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. Our lifestyle correspondents, Matt and Victoria, will talk about how to enjoy this wintry weather to the fullest extent.
Raina Pawloski will cover DC's heated mayoral race in an exclusive special package. And finally, we'll welcome guest weather correspondent Jack to tell us whether we can expect more snow this month.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Avanti Podworthen.
And I'm Brady Wilson. President Trump announced Sunday on Truth Social that the Trump Kennedy Center in D.C. will close on July 4th for 2 years, citing the dilapidated center as broken and writing that he intends to renovate the place. The move comes just around a year after he was appointed chairman of the center, and after many acts began to cancel after he added his name to the building a month ago. Trump has provided few details about what exact renovations will be taking place, leading to the Washington Post to call the closure a grave risk.
We are currently in the midst of a partial government shutdown. Ananya Gondesi has more on the fight over ICE funding and the government shutdown.
No justice! No peace! As protests continue in Minnesota, fights over funding immigration enforcement has landed D.C. in a partial government shutdown. As lawmakers geared up to pass bills for the 2026 fiscal year, two pivotal things happened that changed the minds of many Democrats. One, the killing of Renee Good, and two, the killing of Alex Preddy, both Minnesotan residents who were shot and killed by ICE agents. Protests erupted immediately afterwards, in which Minnesotan lawmakers spoke out against the killings.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
What we're seeing is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. It's governing by reality TV.
The sentiment grew larger amongst the bigger Democratic collective, with many starting to call for the removal of Kristi Noem as the Secretary of DHS. After a $1.3 trillion spending package to fund agencies, including DHS, was introduced, Democrats began to rally against it, calling for reforms to ICE. On Wednesday, after meeting with his caucus, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer outlined 3 areas of reform to ICE he wanted to see. Among the list of demands are requiring body cameras, banning face masks, a ban on roving patrols, and requiring judicial warrants. Fearing another government shutdown, the Trump administration and Schumer struck a deal to pass a stopgap bill but fund DHS for only 2 weeks while negotiations continue. Trump endorsed the deal on Truth Social, writing that the only thing that can slow our country down is another long and damaging government shutdown. The Senate passed the bill on Friday, where it now waits to head to the House. According to Axios, Senate Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told House Speaker Mike Johnson not to count on Democratic votes. On top of already having a razor-thin majority, Johnson swore in Texas Democrat Christian Menefee, ensuring that in order for the bill to pass, he can only afford to lose 1 Republican vote. Still, Johnson seems optimistic, telling NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday that he sees an end in sight.
Well, let's say I'm confident that we'll do it at least by Tuesday. Because of the conversation I had with Hakeem Jeffries, I know that we've got to pass a rule and probably do this mostly on our own.
Now, as I speak, the House Rules is in session right now deciding on that vote. But even if it does get passed, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty over that 2-week period. The GOP has already indicated that 2 central demands from the Democrats, no face masks and judicial warrants, are currently off the table. And Senate Majority Leader John Thune has indicated that there may be delays ahead. For GWTV, I'm Ananya Gondesi.
Thanks, Ananya. To give an update on where this story stands now, as of Tuesday evening, the House passed the vote to reopen the government. Iran is facing significant pressure from the Trump administration to accept a new nuclear deal and to stop the killing of Iranian civilian protesters. This includes President Trump threatening military strikes, moving ships into the region, and imposing a new round of sanctions. This follows Trump's threats more than 2 weeks ago, promising, quote, very strong action, unquote, if the Iranian regime killed protesters. According to Sky News, since the protests began at the end of 2025, the death toll isn't clear, with estimates ranging from 5,000 to over 30,000 deaths. This is not President Trump's first strike on Iran, with Operation Midnight Hammer dealing significant damage to Iran's nuclear capabilities in June of last year.
Trump continued to emphasize his desire to gain control of Greenland at the annual World Economic Forum Summit last month. Ryan Ladd has the story.
At the World Economic Forum in Davos, U.S. President Donald Trump delivered an hour-long address spanning the U.S. economy, domestic political rivals, and the contentious issue of Greenland. Adopting a familiar strongman posture, Trump addressed the international community directly. A key takeaway was his explicit statement that the United States would not use military force to secure Greenland. At the same time, he underscored its strategic importance to the U.S. national security and threatened economic sanctions, language he later walked back, citing satisfaction with progress towards a proposed framework agreement. Also speaking in Davos, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney urged global leaders to confront what he described as a rupture in the liberal, rules-based international order. We understand that this rupture calls for more than adaptation. It calls for honesty about the world as it is. We are taking the sign out of the window. We know the old order is not coming back. We shouldn't mourn it. Nostalgia is not a strategy, Carney said, adding that
we believe that from the fracture, we can build something bigger, better, stronger, more just.
Following the remarks, the Trump administration revoked Canada's invitation to the U.S.-backed Board of Peace, a new Trump-led initiative initially tied to Gaza reconstruction. According to a U.S. official, permanent membership requires a $1 billion contribution, with funds earmarked for rebuilding Gaza. French President Emmanuel Macron, whose appearance, complete with a pair of aviator glasses, quickly circulated online, similarly cautioned against the growing reliance on hard power, including both military force and economic coercion. We, Europe, do believe we need more growth. We need more stability in the world, he said.
But we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality.
No further official updates have been issued on the Greenland framework since the conference, but broader debates over the future of international order continue. With GWTV, this is Ryan Ladd.
Thanks, Ryan. Just days after millions more documents were released in the Jeffrey Epstein case, former President Bill Clinton and former First Lady Hillary Clinton are expected to testify to Congress. The House of Representatives have previously considered holding the Clintons in contempt for not testifying after the subpoena. But after the admission, they withdrew the resolution. A date has not been set yet for depositions. Bill Clinton appears in many images in the first set of the Epstein files, along with a spokesman who said Epstein used to fly on Bill's plane. Bill Clinton has denied any wrongdoing and claimed he had distanced himself from Epstein before the financier was accused of statutory rape in 2006.
The search for today's show host Savannah Guthrie's mother continues, as Arizona investigators are now believing she may have been taken against her will. Guthrie's mother was last seen Saturday night. After searching through the house, the police reframed the house as a crime scene. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos has also claimed that investigators had seen some concerning things in the home, but has not provided many details beyond that.
In January, an investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell was opened by the U.S. District Attorney after President Trump alleged he lied to Congress about renovating the bank. Celestia Chunku has the story.
Earlier this month, the U.S. District Attorney's Office launched a criminal investigation into the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell. The investigation regards the bank's renovation of its headquarters in D.C. and whether or not Powell lied to Congress about the scope of the project, according to the New York Times. Powell testified before the Senate Banking Committee in June about the $2.5 billion renovation project, which President Trump criticized as an unnecessary expense and raised the prospect of a lawsuit against him for, quote, incompetence. The investigation was approved in November by Janine Pirro, the D.C. District Attorney. Pirro said that this investigation was, quote, not a threat, end quote, but is a result of unclear communication between the central bank and Congress. President Trump appointed Powell in 2017, but has publicly disputed with him in previous years over the Federal Reserve's resistance to slashing interest rates. Powell said in a video statement from the Federal Reserve website that he's not, quote, above the law, end quote, but that this investigation has a, quote, broader content, end quote, in his ongoing feud with the president. Trump will announce his choice to succeed Powell as Federal Reserve Chair in the coming weeks, according to The Hill. He's expected to face pushback, however, as Tom Tillis of North Carolina and various other Republican senators expressed concern over the president's oversight into an independent agency. With GW News, I'm Celestia Chunku.
Thanks, Celestia. After the break, more headlines, fun Valentine's Day activities, and guest weather correspondent Jack with some updates on the snow. Stay tuned.
Team after an abysmal year with the Flyers. Andrei Svechnikov makes his return this season.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Jack McGuire filling in today for GWN's own Andrew Rooney. It's been a heck of a few weeks for the weather, so let's dive right in. The past 2 weeks, we've had Arctic air reaching as far south as Miami, with some places in Florida being as cold as parts of Alaska. If you want to know how this happens, you got to blame the jet stream. The jet stream is responsible for bringing Arctic air down from the north and tropical air up from the south. And this is how we got these. These are sweet little iguanas. Don't worry, they're not dead. They're just in cold shot. They'll wake up as soon as it warms up. All right, we also had 2 historic winter storms. We had Winter Storm Gianna, which is a bomb cyclone, and we had Winter Storm Firm, which is the storm we can blame for all of this ice that we have outside. Look how big this guy is. This storm affected 34 states with significant snow and slice, affecting about 2/3 of the United States population. Let's take a look at the upcoming forecast to see if we have any warmer temps coming our way. Fortunately, it's looking like next week we might have some warmer temps and we might finally get rid of some of this ice all over the ground. But if you look 3 to 4 weeks in, it's still going to be chilly out there, guys. But here at GWTV, we have our own groundhog, and Toasty has emerged to say, 6 more weeks of winter.
That was quite the weather update you had for us, Jack. Thank you so much.
Yes, we really appreciate you
I
standing
hope
in.
you guys learned something new today.
We did. I learned so much from Toasty. I didn't know Toasty was predicting.
Toasty knows all that is with the weather.
Probably more reliable than the actual.
Do you guys know what a bomb cyclone is now?
No. Do you want to explain it to us?
It's when a storm drops 24 millibars in pressure above the 60th latitude.
Wow.
And that's what Gianna was, a bomb cyclone.
I didn't. Did you know that?
I did not.
Do you guys know what the jet stream is now?
I do now.
See?
Yeah.
Knowledge, GWTV.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's very
well,
interesting. We've had some crazy weather, so thank you for.
Blame the jet stream.
Yes.
Jet stream. Well,
Noted.
Jack knows all. Toasty knows all.
Toasty.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
Thanks, Jack. Over 1,200 students signed a petition to disinvite 2 ICE divisions from GW Law and Georgetown University Law Center's joint public sector recruiting program last week. According to the GW Hatchet, law school student leaders met on January 21st with GW Law Dean Dana Bowen Matthew. Matthew ultimately decided not to bar the organization from the program, citing free speech controversy. However, ICE's Office of the Principal Legal Advisor pulled out of the program, despite a second ICE division continuing to participate. GW Student Bar Association Executive Vice President Quinn Beaver said in an interview with the GW Hatchet that he didn't think ICE should feel welcome on campus, echoing the concerns of petitioners with ICE operations in Minnesota.
A former IRS officer was found guilty of killing his wife and a stranger in Fairfax County, Virginia. Prosecutors argued that the defendant, Brendan Banfield, planned the murders so he could be with his family's au pair, with whom he had an affair. The highly publicized trial dragged on for 3 weeks, after which the jury deliberated Friday and found him guilty of aggravated murder, with prosecutors now saying Banfield might be facing life in prison.
This year, GW carried on its annual tradition of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. Victoria Smiley has the story.
Hundreds of GW students, alongside staff, faculty, and alumni, are gathered today in the University Student Center to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Through acts of service, workshops, and reflections. At GW's MLK Day of Service and Leadership, members give back to the DC community, as MLK recognized the true greatness in service. The activities here range from social justice and anti-racism workshops to classroom makeovers, and we're here to talk to several volunteers about their experiences and perspectives.
I think for today, for MLK Day, I think the ability to serve others, especially when you have the opportunity and ability to, is something really important. Along with those lines of reciprocity and just giving back to the community that has served you, I think MLK Day is a really important way of kind of giving back to, again, the message of MLK and, making sure that we are a good neighbor to each other. That is something that in his practice he's always vouched for, and I think service is basically just that line in of itself, that whoever you're with, no matter if you know them or not, you have this important duty to serve people even if you don't know who they are. So, yeah.
Amazing. And what service activity are you doing today?
So I've been kind of jumping back and forth with a couple of things. So I just came back from a wider circle right now, and that's a nonprofit here at the Nashman Center that does a lot of amazing work to basically help people in the DMV area get ready for professional jobs by clothing them and giving them resources such as career building and resume building. So we basically were just folding up a bunch of clothes to donate to, I believe, the Silver Springs area. So we're really excited for that, and I'm actually going to head over now to the Continental Ballroom, which they have a new seminar this year called the Kingian Leadership Seminar, which is basically emphasizing Dr. King's leadership work, specifically through his practice of interfaith and how he brought different communities together in order to get the message of racial equality across. So lots of cool things today.
GW's MLK Day of Service and Leadership was hosted by the Honey W. Nashman Center for Civic Engagement and Public Service. The event was part of King Week at GW, which is a series of events to promote King's vision of equity, justice, and community. With GW-TV, I am Victoria Smiley.
Thanks, Victoria. DC mayor and council member elections are coming up in November, and there are a lot of political figures vying for open office seats. The primaries will arrive in June, and DC will be implementing ranked choice voting, changing the way Washingtonians choose their local representatives. Raina Pawloski has the story.
In November, DC's mayor of over a decade, Muriel Bowser, announced that she will not be running for a fourth term. The Democrat has been criticized for her response to federal officers like the National Guard and ICE and her lax policies in the wake of Donald Trump's increased imposition on local affairs. The election is set for November, and the race is set to be competitive, with many new political figures throwing their hats into the ring. The race is crucial for the future of DC in Trump's world. Will Washingtonians elect someone who will try to work with the president, or someone who will take a more direct, antagonistic approach, like Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson or New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani? DC does not have term limits for mayor, so this is the first time we will see a new person in this position since 2015, when Muriel Bowser took the seat. As the 7th elected mayor of DC, she served 3 four-year terms. Bowser was the first African-American woman mayor and enacted policies such as the Housing Production Trust Fund, building homeless shelters, and renovating Capital One Arena. DC is divided into 8 wards, each with a council member who acts as the legislative representative for their ward. The 2026 DC elections will also see seats for council members for wards 1 and 4, with a possible special election for Ward 8 also looming. Current councilmember Breon K. Nadeau has served Ward 1 for 4 terms. Similar to the mayor's race, Nadeau not seeking re-election means a shakeup in local politics that the area hasn't seen in quite some time. Let's go over the current candidates for mayor and DC council members. There are currently 12 candidates for DC mayor at the time of recording. They include Adrian Byrd, Kenny McDuffie, Christopher Teague, Cody Birchfield, Demoni Ivy, Issa Muhammad, Janice Lewis-George, James McMorris, Musin Omar, Myrtle Alexander, Reagan Jones, Rhonda Hamilton, and Robert Gross. McDuffie was an at-large council member, which means he represents the entire district and not just a specific ward. His entry into the mayoral race came only a month after he stepped down as council member on January 5th. Since he was registered as an independent, the DC Council appointed an interim, non-majority party member to serve until the special elections. DC Councilman Chair Phil Mendelson will lead the process to find a replacement. After leaving the council, McDuffie switched his affiliation from independent to Democrat and will be running as a Democrat in the mayoral race. Denise Lewis-George is a council member for Ward 4 and considers herself a Democratic socialist. She announced at a campaign launch party that if elected, she pledges to enact universal child care.
We all know DC has the most expensive childcare in the city, right? I feel the squeeze now. I mean, I pay for childcare every month. Me and my husband, Kyle, over $2,000. As much in mortgage we pay for mortgage, as much as we pay for childcare. Everyone is feeling that squeeze.
According to the Washington Post, she plans to gradually expand eligibility for existing childcare subsidies until they can cover expenses for all DC families. Lewis-George also announced that she has plans to enact housing and job programs. McDuffie and Lewis-George will undoubtedly be the frontrunners in the race for Democratic primary, with McDuffie forecasted to appeal to more moderate Democrats and Lewis-George more left-leaning voters. The DC Board of Elections will conduct the Democratic and Republican primaries on June 16th. The general election will be held on November 3rd, 2026. Similar to the office for mayor, residents in Ward 1 will be voting on a fresh new face to represent them in November. Current sitting council member Brianna Nadeau has been in office since 2014, and she has also announced that she will not be running for a fourth term. She told WTOP that, quote, "It's not easy to step away, especially at such a difficult time for our community and our country, but I do believe that it is the right time for me, for my family, and for Ward 1, end quote. Currently, there are 6 candidates running for Ward 1, including Aparna Raj, Jackie Reyes-Yanis, Yashida Brown, Terry Lynch, Brian Footer, and Miguel Trinidad Duranmo, who are all registered Democrats. Ward 1 is the most densely populated and one of the most diverse areas of the city. Nadeau's decision not to run means that this ward will have the opportunity to elect a non-incumbent council member for the first time in 44 years. Ward 8's future is uncertain. In 2024, current council member Treon White Sr. was arrested by the FBI on charges of bribery after he was caught on video accepting $156,000 in cash from a business owner. White was expelled from his seat in February of 2025, but was re-elected in the July special election of the same year. While he currently sits as council member, White is set to go to trial in March, and if he is found guilty, he will be removed from the council and a special election will have to take place. White has maintained his innocence and has pleaded not guilty to all charges. So far, no candidate has been announced that would run in the event of a second special election. How people vote for their elected officials in DC may change this year as well. Voters approved ranked choice voting in 2024, and the DC Council says that it is working towards implementing it for the June primaries. In ranked choice voting, voters create a ranked list of the candidates they would most like in office to the least, and your vote goes toward candidates that have the best chance of winning that you rank the highest. DC local elections in 2026 are set to change as the year goes on and the primaries are conducted. Constituents can look forward to heated debates, political advertising, and lively court decisions to help them dictate their votes. Be sure to pay attention this year if you want to cast your vote to shape how Washington will look in your neighborhood. With GWN, I'm Raina Pawloski.
Thanks, Raina. Up next, our lifestyle correspondents Matt and Victoria are here to talk about the best way to spend Valentine's Day in DC. Take it away, Matt.
Hey guys, I'm Matt.
Hi everyone, I'm Victoria.
And welcome to our first lifestyle segment of the semester.
Hopefully, we can give you guys some fun things to do in this frigid month in DC.
Now, a certain day is coming up soon, and whether or not you have a significant other to spend it with, there are plenty of things to do around DC.
Be certain to go to Adams Morgan's self-guided Valentine's window walk to see storefronts decorated for Valentine's Day. And don't forget to stop by the wharf the next day for a Mardi Gras celebration with live music, a parade, and fireworks to conclude the festivities.
And with the cold comes ice. Across the city, ice skating spots have popped up. Slide over to the Wharf, Georgetown, or even the National Gallery of Art's Sculpture Garden to skate around.
Be sure to stop by the Lincoln Theater's 2026 DC Black History Film Festival, happening February 20th and 21st.
Then follow that up by taking the Metro north to Noma and explore Union Market. Besides all of the incredible restaurants, hop just outside for pictures at the Heart Wall and explore the murals all around.
And with Valentine's Day coming up, make sure to have fun, but also stay safe.
Never a bad idea to be cautious around the city.
Besides that, it's the start of a new semester. Here are some tips for a good head start.
First and foremost, make sure to come into the semester with a positive attitude. Look, even when it feels like it can get brutal, keeping a good mindset will pay dividends, I promise.
Remember to rest. You don't want to overwork yourself, especially early in the semester. If you remember to get over 8 hours of sleep, your brain and your immune system will thank you.
And now, if fall semester taught me anything, it's not to procrastinate. I know it's tempting, but trust me, getting ahead of work does wonders for your mental health and the quality of your work.
Getting together with classmates or friends for group study sessions is a great way to be productive and social.
And that's all we've got for you this week.
Back to you, Brady and Avanti.
Thank you so much, guys. Good stuff. You know, I have only been to ADMA once. I need to go up there more often.
I feel like I've only been there super late night. I haven't actually gotten the chance to explore it properly in the daytime and the whole scene. It is very fun at night, but it's still, I feel like we need to go up. Maybe we should GWN trip it up there.
Yeah.
Are any of you guys good at ice skating?
Absolutely not.
Terrible.
Terrible.
So bad.
Okay, I used to ice skate when I was younger, and I used to do it every year, but I never got any better. But I'm so curious about the ice skating rink at the sculpture garden. I did not know that was a thing.
It's incredible. My butt still hurts from the last time I went there a couple weeks ago, but it's an absolutely incredible site. It's not too expensive either. I really would recommend that one.
And I have to take that tip on not procrastinating. I've already spent some long nights in Gelman, 1 a.m.
And so has Matt. That's how we ended up there last Halloween.
Yes.
And
Okay. We're not going to flash back to that, but either way. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Victoria and Matt. The Venezuelan National Assembly just passed new legislation that will transform its oil industry and enable more foreign investment, namely from the U.S. cooperation from the National Assembly and acting President Delcy Rodriguez, comes after continued pressure from the Trump administration. Former Vice President Rodriguez is the successor to Nicolas Maduro, following his capture by the United States military in Operation Absolute Resolve on January 3rd. According to CNN, Maduro is currently in U.S. custody at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, facing drug and weapons charges.
After the historic winter storm we heard about from Jack, Washington, D.C. is still trapped under a frozen layer of snow that officials are calling snowcrete. The George Washington University canceled all university operations for a full 5 days after the storm hit on Saturday, January 24th. In university communications, they cited, quote, ongoing weather impacts, including transportation across the region and disruptions to the Mount Vernon Express, end quote. With the Mount Vernon Express down, many students who live on the Vern campus were stranded for the week. Students on the main campus also had to deal with unplowed sidewalks and slippery walking conditions to get to and from dining halls, which remained open during the shutdown. University operations came back to normal on Saturday, January 31st. And that's all we have for you this episode. For GWN, I'm Avanti Patwardhan.
And I'm Brady Wilson. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to stay warm.